Good afternoon, Dr. Strange. My name is Ariana Torres. So my TEK for today is number and operations. Student applies mathematical process standards to represent and generate fractions to solve problems. And also it is determine if two given fractions are equivalent using a variety of methods. So background story that I put for each one is in class, we've been learning different ways to determine if two fractions are equivalent or not. We learned that we can use multiplication or division to determine if two fractions are equivalent. And so for station number 1 is for my below grade level. So the purpose of that is I want to take the students a step back from using multiplication and division, and I want them to physically see why they are equivalent and how they are equivalent. And then later on, revisit multiplying and dividing to see if they're equivalent. So I have created, each student will get a set. So here's set 1, set 2, and set 3, different shapes, and each shape is divided up into sections like so. So we have this. So on each sticky note for each student that gets a set, it says shade in 2/3 on shape 2, and on the back they're labeled shape 1 and shape 2. So shade in 2/3 on shape 2 and shade in 6/4 on shape 1. Are they equivalent? Why or why not? And on a separate sheet of paper, they can explain why or why not and turn that into me at the end. So 2/3 would be this much, and then 4/6 would be this much. So once they get to shade in on their card, so the 2/3 and the 4/6, they'll be able to compare and see physically how they are equivalent. And that's the same for each of the other sets I have for here. We have 1/8 and 1/4. They get to compare and follow the instructions on each sticky note for each set. And on here I have 1/10 and 1/5, and they get to compare and follow the instructions on the sticky notes. And for my next station, I have the app. So the app is for my on grade level because they understand, they know how to use multiplication and division. So the app is called Pirates, Fraction Smart Pirates. So basically the app has 4 islands. It's for simple fractions, equivalent fractions, adding and subtracting fractions. And my students would be on the equivalent fraction, so that's island number 2. And basically they have to complete these tasks so that the pirate can find the treasure, so that the pirate can get across wherever platform that they're on. And the only way they can get across is if they find the fraction that is equivalent to it. And the details on the app is very nice. It does match to my TEK, to the curriculum. And so yeah, and I'll insert pictures of the app on my document. And then lastly, I have my GT students. So GT, they know how to use the multiplication and the division to see if they're equivalent. But what I want to introduce to them is cross multiplication. So with the cross multiplication, it's just an extra step, another strategy that they can use. But I also showed on this one how they can use the dot instead of X to signify that this is multiplication, just so that, you know, they're going to learn it eventually when they get into the higher grade level. So why not just show it now? And I only did one example like that just to show. And this is just a practice. I will do one example with them, and then I want them to look at it and then discuss. So the first example, I have 2/6 over 3/9, and then I'll show them how to do it. And then for the next 2 examples, I want them to see, I want them to go through the steps and then talk to each other about it. Then I have a worksheet for them, cross multiplication worksheet. There are 6 problems. 4 are regular problems and 2 are bonus. The reason why they're bonus is because there's a question mark on the fraction, and they have to find the missing one for the last 2. So those are the bonus ones, just so they can try and figure out different ways, because they could use the strategy they've already learned to find it, or they can use it a different way. like I have on my answer key. I showed it a different way, and I will insert pictures of that also in there. And I have my answer key. And so those are my 3 stations. Thank you.